Cindy Blackman Santana, welcome to Australian Musician.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Yeah, there's a lot of ground I wanted to cover, but first I wanted to talk about something that's happening very soon, and that's the She Rocks Awards, which is happening on the 22nd in the USA and the 23rd in Australia. Being honoured by the She Rocks Awards, I see you already have your trophy. I saw that on social media. That must have been a nice accolade to receive.
Oh, very much so. It's really an honor, and I'm so happy that they're really, supporting and really, honoring these different, people, these women who have just given, their whole lives to the music and to creating. So it's a wonderful thing to be a part of, and like I said, it's really an honor to receive.
Yeah. So, who are some of the other female artists that have been inspirational to you over the years?
Um, I can name some, and I will, but I don't break up my inspiration into male or female or black or white or American or not or skinny or fat or whatever. It's just wherever the inspiration comes. That's what I love, because I just love creativity. But there have been some incredible women who have inspired me from early on. Both of my grandmothers inspired me. They both played piano. My mom's mom was a professional classical pianist, and so she was really incredible. My mom inspired me because she was a violinist. And she's not playing currently, but that was her instrument, violin. So, from early on, I had them as inspirations. My older sister was a singer. My younger sister's a singer. They all inspire me still. Billie Holiday is a great inspiration for me. Sarah Vaughan, I love. Mary Lou Williams, incredible inspiration for me. And I have a bunch of friends, who happen to be women who are great musicians who inspire me. Kat Dyson, Kim Clark, Tracy Wormworth. There are a bunch of people who have really put their heart and soul into the music, who really study the instruments, and play great. Rhonda Smith is another one, you know. So they're just a bunch of people who I love. Lainey Stern and Jane Gedder, some guitar players from New York. Let's see, Rachel Z, great keyboard player. So yeah, there've been quite a few. Patrice Rushen, she's another great piano player who I'm very inspired by. Had a chance to do some playing with her, and she's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. You started out busking. I'm wondering, what did busking do for you? How did it influence you as a performer?
You say basking?
Busking.
What's basking?
Busking, busking. You started as a street performer.
Oh, busking is a street. Oh, I didn't know what that meant. Okay. I played on the street when I first got to New York. I played on the street like my first 2 summers there. So 1982 and 1983 in the summers, I played like 5 days a week. And it was fantastic because firstly, we played from like 12 or so to about 6:30 in the evening. And so it was like getting 2 days of playing crunched into one day, you know? So that was amazing because I got to spend a lot of time on my instrument, a lot of time really just, applying things that I was learning through study and, through actual live performances that I saw. I saw a lot of great musicians in New York, so I was able to go back and just apply that, where there was a concept or a technique or just an attitude or whatever. I was able to go ahead and, and apply that to what I was doing in real time. And so that was fantastic. So the amount of playing, the exposure to a bunch of different musicians was incredible. One of the amazing things about playing on the street is that there were a lot of people who would come by and watch, and many of them were these people who were basically homeless at that time, but who in former times had been on the scene, who were, in New York, who were familiar. So they would come and tell us these stories. And I would be like, oh, that's a pretty fantastic story. And so I called my friend Arthur Taylor and I would say, AT, is this story true? And he would say, yeah. So it was amazing because you learned a lot from all the different people, from all the different walks of life that came out there. That was a good time, a really great time.
Yeah, the relationship between a drummer and a bass player as the rhythm section is very important to a band. I'm just wondering, are there certain bass players that you just click with on stage?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, we have to bass and drums. We have to be like not only like this, but we have to be like this. We got to be one, you know. And it's also fun to key into figuring out what different bass players like. Some people like to play behind the beat, whether it's this or this, behind the beat, or some people are ahead of the beat. Some people are in the center of the beat. Some people play with a lot of space, which frees me up. Some people play with no space, which changes my role. So it's just kind of fun to really get a read on what different bass players like to do, and then I can apply myself accordingly, and kind of, help make sure that things are smooth and that everything's flowing. But yeah, there's some bass players that I click with, and like right away, it's just golden, Jack Daly that I played with so many years with Lenny Kravitz. He's one. Benny Ritfald is another. Rashawn Carter is another. Felix Pastorius is another. Kim Clark is one. I've had some great moments with her. I've had some great moments with Tracy Wormworth. It's definitely got to be a love affair there, musically speaking, because that's what is the glue for everybody, and that's what really is the driving force of the band.
Yeah, you mentioned Felix. Felix plays in your band as well. Did you ever get to play with his dad, Jacko?
I never got to play with him, but I met him, and he was so gracious to me. I'll never forget him. Not only for the bass player that we all know that he is, that he was, the musician that he was, and the music that he left us with. That's enough in itself. But fortunately for me, I got to meet him and had some, like I said, some really great experiences with him. One time I went to see Wayne Shorter. His group was playing, and I think it was Chick Corea's group. They were both playing at the Pier, the Dr. Pepper Festival in New York City. They used to have these great concerts. I saw so many people there, Weather Report. I saw Miles. I saw all these people. But on this day, I think actually it wasn't Wayne's group. I think it was Weather Report. Yeah, Weather Report, and I think Chick Corea. And so I couldn't afford a ticket, so I went during the day to check out the sound check, because you can hear, you're standing on the pier on the road and you can just hear it, So I thought, okay, I'm gonna just check that much out. So I went to do that, and I saw Jacko, and he said, hey, Cindy, how you doing? And I said, oh, I'm good. How are you? And he said, whatever. He was good. And he said, you coming to the concert tonight? And I said, no, I don't have a ticket. I was too embarrassed to say I couldn't afford a ticket, but I just said, and he probably figured that out. But he said, well, you know what? Meet me at that gate over there at 8:00. And he said, I'm going to get you in. And I was like, wow, okay, thank you. So of course I was there like 7:30 waiting. And he came right on time at 8:00, and he had this big trunk, full of bass gear and stuff, and so he told the security guard who he was, and he said, and she's with me, and they let us in, and so I got to see the concert, it was because of him.
Yeah.
So he was very sweet to me, and I always appreciated him. I saw his band a couple times, and, it was just really great to have such a great relationship with somebody who is such an icon and who's such an amazing musician. So for me, he was just so supreme in every way.
Yeah. Last year, you released a new album, Give the Drummer Some. Were there any hurdles releasing an album in 2020, the pandemic year?
Yes, there were some hurdles for sure, and I got quite a lot of feedback from different people saying, well, I don't think you should release the album. You should wait till next year and put it out next year. Um, and I thought, we really need some good vibrations and we need to get this music out now, you know. So then we began to work on figuring out how to get it out. And of course, utilizing the internet as much as possible, and all the streaming services and downloading services that are available. So we got Give the Drummer Some out in September. And I'm really happy because there are some poignant messages on there, but just in general, the stream that ties that whole record together is the vibrations of love that everybody put into the music. And so you can feel that when you hear the material.
Yeah. Everybody's Dancing is such a joyous song. Was that always going to be the opening track?
That was not the opening track, actually. Imagine was the opening track. That's the first song that we released, Imagine. But yeah, Everybody's Dancing is just so fun and just so free. And that was the point of that song, to make everybody feel good, to know that, we can commune, and at least if we can't do it in full spectrum the way that we'd like to at this particular time, we can still do it with as many as we can. We can still do it with ourselves, and we can still spread that kind of energy out to everyone. So it's really it makes me really happy to have that out, and I just have gotten really good feedback from that song, which is also really good to hear.
Yeah. You have some great musicians on the album, including John McLaughlin and Vernon. Were they able to do their parts in the studio with you, or was that done remotely?
Both. We did both. John was remote because he's over in Europe. And Vernon came to the studio. We recorded Vernon's stuff in Las Vegas. So we had sessions with Vernon, with Carlos, with Matt Garrison, with Benny Ritfall, with Neil Evans on keyboards. So some of it was done remotely, and most of it actually was done all together.
Is there a track on the album that's closer to your heart than others?
I think there are several, actually. Imagine is very close to my heart because I love the message and I love what it's sending out. And, unfortunately, the message is still very relevant today. John Lennon's message, Yoko Ono's message is still very relevant today. But on the other hand, by the same token, fortunately, we do have a great message like that we can, pass out and give to people and for people to hear. So that song is close, and, it's dear to me because many people said, oh, you shouldn't cover that song. It's a sacred song. Well, but I'm like, well, other people have covered that song, so why can't I do it? I just didn't want to do it in the same way that I heard, that obviously we hear the original, and that I've heard other people do it. I wanted to do something totally different. And I'm really happy because we did. We brought something completely different to that song. And you can have an arrangement with an original song, and you can bring some really great stuff to it. But you can't really see the difference or hear the difference or feel the difference until you hear a song that's been totally adapted from its original form in terms of what kind of impetus you put in for making this arrangement. And so this song shows that, the great vibrations, adding the Carlos incredible guitar solo, adding the tag at the end, and just the whole revamp of the feel and the phrasing, but still trying to keep the essence of the original, because it's so beautiful,
Yeah.
so simplistic, and so easy to grasp and understand and hear. We didn't want to lose that, you know. So that song is very, very near and dear to me. And there are others too. I'm just really happy with this record, surely.
Yeah. What have you learned about getting a good drum sound in the studio over the years?
Um, you know, I approached playing in the studio a lot like I do playing live. I know that a lot of people go into the studio and they change the way they attack, they change the way they play. And sometimes that, that works. If you, depending on the sound that you want to get, because when you hit the drums in a softer way, you're getting one kind of tone out of them. When you hit them with more attack, you're getting another kind of tone. But I really like to try to bring the live aspect, the live feel, the concert feel to recordings that I do. So I'm pretty conscious of making sure that I'm hitting the drums with some attack when needed, that I'm playing them with veracity when needed, so you can sort of get that energetic feel. I don't want it to sound like it's flatlined, in other words. Flatlining to me is not good.
So what was the main kit that you used on the recording?
I used two kits, and thanks for asking that. The instrumental stuff was all recorded in Las Vegas, and for that I used a kit that Gretsch made for me in 2012. It's a solid show kit, and I had asked Gretsch for a few years if they would make me a solid show kit, and they were like, "Well, that's not what we do. We don't make solid show drums." And I said, "Yeah, but if you did, you would do it better than anybody. You would revolutionize something because you would do it better than everybody else." And so, finally they made me a kit, and I took it on the road with Lenny Kravitz in 2014. Also, obviously recorded our stuff with it, and it just sounded so beautiful. And I thought, well, this is the only one I have. I've recorded with it. I'm taking this one on the road. I need another one. Because if something happens to one of these drums, I can't replace it, So fortunately, my beloved Gretsch team made me a second one. So I have two of them, and Paul Cooper, who makes the drums and oversees all of that, he liked it so much, he made one for himself. So now there are three in existence, and he has one and I have two. So I use that on all the instrumental stuff. Long-winded question, but I love talking about that just because I love talking about the drums. And on the stuff that I did at Tarpan Studio in San Rafael with Narda Michael Walden, which is the bulk of the vocal stuff, all except two vocal songs were done with Narda. For that, I used a 1972 vintage Gretsch kit. So all Gretsch drums, and then I swapped out some different snares on both sessions. I have some Gretsch snares that I use. I have a 6.5-inch wooden Gretsch snare, a 6-inch wooden Gretsch snare that I used. I have a couple of Black Beauties that I used, and I have a chrome over brass Gretsch that I also used. So I swapped out the different snare drums, for different songs.
Yeah. You recently became a Veta Sticks endorsee. What do you look for in sticks?
Consistency. Consistency in the material. So in the wood, obviously in the batches of sticks that you get. I look for the weight. I look for the type of lacquer that they use, the amount of lacquer that's used. And in a company, I look for a company who listens to what my needs are and who's willing to go the distance to make sure that my stick or my cymbal or my drum, whatever it is, comes out in the way that I need so that I can express the music fully, and Vader has done that. They're really a great team to work with. Very, very much still a family operation, and I really love that, because it's very tight knit. It has a great family feel, to it. And so it's a wonderful company. I'm really thrilled to be working with them.
Yeah. You've toured Australia before. What are your memories of Australian tours?
I love Australia. I fell in love with Australia. The first time I went to Australia was with Lenny Kravitz. And the first city that we went to was Sydney. I loved Sydney so much. I started looking at apartments. I wanted to get a place over there. I love Sydney. I just totally fell in love with it. Australia is so great. I can't wait to go back. And there are some places that I want to explore, like up north, the beach areas. So I definitely will be going back on tour and off tour so that I can just, enjoy. But I just love it. I love the audiences. I love the whole everything. Just the food tastes so good. The beaches are incredible. You got the outback. It's just amazing. The people are just nice and lovely. So it's really, really beautiful. I love Australia. And the only reason why I didn't get an apartment there is because it's so far away from my mom and my family. I thought, wait a minute, you can't really do that. I wouldn't have given up my New York place. I would have been going back and forth, but it would have just been, kind of difficult with seeing family. And, so I was like, okay, this is not really practical. So I didn't end up doing it, but I wanted to.
2020 was a tough year for everyone in the arts, and things haven't got back to normal yet. But how is your 2021 looking at the moment?
2021 is looking good. We have with the Santana band, we have a prospective tour date start. So that's really good. It won't be until August, so it's not for quite a while. But for me, it looks good. My whole family is all healthy. Everybody's healthy and safe and taken care of. So that's one thing. We're blessed in that way that all of our family members are safe. And I just look at it with optimism, because I'm hoping that this whole reclusion that we've all been dealt has really caused people to go inside and really find out what we can each do to be a better us and to make this whole place better. So that's what I focus on. How can Cindy be a better Cindy, for not only for myself, but for my husband, for my family, for my friends, for the music, for all the incredible people who support me and support our music, all the fans and all the audience people, everybody, I just want to be a better everything, a better musician, a better drummer, a better Cindy, a better planetary being, so I focus on that a lot. And for that, it looks good. It looks prosperous for me. It looks, the future looks bright,
Yeah. Well, Cindy, it's been great to catch up, and thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been awesome, and hope to see you over there in Australia, you and everybody. Hope to see you guys sooner than later.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Greg.